Views expressed are those of the host, guests, and callers, not necessarily those of News Radio 1040 WHO.
So we're due today, mostly open line time. We got lots of stuff to talk about. But you may have seen and heard on WHO Radio News earlier this morning, Iowa, and this is an aside on my part, unexpectedly, I did not think Governor Branstad was going to do this. He hinted at nothing like this before the election. But Iowa has now joined 25 other states in that federal lawsuit that challenges the constitutionality of the Health Care Reform Act that was enacted last year. He said, the governor said this yesterday, I'm signing this on behalf of the suit as governor on behalf of the people of Iowa because I believe Iowa taxpayers deserve to be heard in the critical matter as we begin constructing our 5-year budget. There's no doubt that the current federal health care law will shackle Iowa taxpayers for billions in unfunded mandates. So we have joined the lawsuit. Back when we were first talking about this, we wondered, especially when Brenna Finley was here chatting with us, she wanted to be Attorney General. She said she wanted to join that lawsuit. Back then, Attorney General Tom Miller said no. He filed a friend of the court brief back in November supporting the constitutionality of the federal health care reform. Yesterday, we talked with Congressman Steve King about this, who wrote a lot of the language for the repeal of the Obamacare. Joining us now in our newsmaker line, Congressman Tom Latham is joining the debate. Sir, welcome aboard.
Well, good morning, Jan. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
On your, this is, there's two different levels to this thing. There's one is the constitutionality, and the other is whether or not it's just good law, good policy. And we've talked about this before. Summarize what your thinking is.
Well, there's no question in my mind that it's unconstitutional as far as the individual mandate, and I'm very proud that the governor has stepped in and joined now what is the majority of the states in this country to say that this is in fact wrong and that we need to repeal this bill. And he's exactly right. As far as the cost to the states, I mean, this is going to be devastating to state budgets. You've got all of these new people coming into Medicaid, which is the state-funded health care system. It is something that's going to kill jobs. You've got employers out there today that are simply throwing up their hands and certainly not hiring more people simply because they don't know what the costs are going to be in the future. And what there's a tremendous incentive to do, Jan, is just to dump off people that you're currently providing health care to and put them in the government system. I mean, this takeover of the healthcare system is going to be devastating for job creation. It's going to be devastating for state budgets. And like you said, is simply unconstitutional as far as the individual mandate is concerned.
So there's two different possible paths. Well, at least, there's many more than that, but two major ones. One would be the repeal. The other would be a lawsuit that the state of Iowa has just now joined, saying this is irrelevant because it's illegal. The other side, your side of the aisle, the newly elected freshman class, have enough votes to push this forward. So at least on the House side, you guys have a chance. But the president's spokesman, Joe Gibbs, yesterday was asked about this. Here's what he said.
I would share the belief of many, including, I think, enunciated by those who are going to vote for repeal tomorrow, that this isn't a serious legislative effort. I think first and foremost, they've largely acknowledged that. Secondly, let's not misunderstand, though, what in essence the move says. It says let's put insurance companies back in charge of making healthcare decisions.
All right, so that's Joe Gibbs, the president's spokesman. His first point is that this is not serious. Even if you pass it on your side, it's DOA, as Harry Reid says, on the other side of the aisle. And even if the Senate could be persuaded to go along with you, the president wouldn't sign it. So what's the point? And then secondly, you guys are just throwing this back into the lap of the evil insurance companies.
Well, I think, number one, that's a total admission that this is a government takeover of our healthcare system. when he's saying about, putting the insurance companies back in charge. Okay, well, what does this bill do then? It must put the government in charge and government taking over the whole healthcare system, which, is the goal of these folks is to say that, we know better than everybody else does that private free enterprise does not work. And this is not a political stunt. This makes a very real statement about what, we believe that the government should go forward, that there's ways of fixing what are the problems in the system today without the government running the system. And that's what our point is today.
Well, so what are some of those ways? Because the other side says, you guys just are the party of no, just say no to this. Well, what do you want?
Well, what we want is to have the free enterprise system work, and by that I mean that we're going to have association health care plans. We're going to be able to buy across state lines. We're going to fix the medical malpractice part of it, make it affordable for people. We can make health care available to people with pre-existing conditions. We can do all of the things that hold down costs for employers, for individuals. I've got a bill that I'm introducing that will give deductibility for not only businesses but individuals, which would go a long ways as far as the cost factor is concerned, and do the other things with association health care plans, small businesses nationwide joining together with leverage to purchase less expensive health insurance across state lines to reduce competition into the marketplace. Medical malpractice would save about $54 billion if we just had limitations on what the personal injury lawyers are out there trying to get every day. So, there are things that can be done that would fix the system and without destroying what is the best healthcare system in the world.
Even though you guys won the majority in the House, you still have the other side of the aisle and the incumbent president who's an advocate of single payer. In essence, you have two different competing philosophies. One, you guys want a free market approach to this.
Right.
They don't. And so any compromise has to do some serious damage to both sides here. And in this new spirit of civility that I'm hoping that you don't demonstrate here this morning, that you guys are expected to compromise, meet them in the middle. I hope you'd meet them nowhere.
Right.
But maybe I'm out of sync here. So tell me what you think.
Well, and with the president, with if you'll remember Nancy Pelosi, the former speaker, we'll know what's in the bill after we pass it, Speaker Pelosi. They believe any kind of compromise means that you have to give up your principles. And anyone that knows anything about how markets work, about how you hold down price with competition, understands that this thing just is not going to work. It's going to be a long-term budget buster. They're using all kinds of gimmicks supposedly to pay for this thing. You've got 10 years of taxes to pay for 6 years of coverage. You're using the student loan reform to pay for health care. There's all kinds of things in this, Jan, and everybody knows that this thing simply will not work long-term. And what their stated purpose from somebody you talk to them individually is to have it be so bad that they'll have to come and fix it with single payer. And that's their whole goal at the end, just like you said, that what they want is the total government takeover in the end. And that simply is going to destroy what is the best healthcare system in the world.
Well, so what can we expect out of this? Just at the best case scenario is vapor lock? Or can you get some real reform and actually fix this rather than have what the worst case scenario that you just described?
Well, I think that you're going to see in the next 2 years, certainly with the presidential election, this is going to be the premier issue. You're going to see us in the House, and we control the purse as far as not funding some of these initiatives like the 16,000 new IRS agents that they're going to need to hire to enforce the individual mandate. All of these things that are going to require funding. The commission, there's 160 board commission agencies set up in this bill, and we simply won't fund them. And how they can enact this type of legislation without funding is really what their big problem is, because we simply are not going to do it.
It's interesting that you agree, and surprisingly, Terry Branstad agrees that there is no constitutional authority for Congress to do this. Representative Sheila Jackson in the debate yesterday, I know she's one of your favorite congresspeople that you're hoping to sit next to in the State of the Union address. She said this.
But the Fifth Amendment speaks specifically to denying someone their life and liberty without due process. That is what H.R. 2 does, and I rise in opposition to it. And I rise in opposition because it is important that we preserve lives, and we recognize that 40 million plus are uninsured. In my own county, Harris County, this bill will allow some 800,000 uninsured members of Harris County, citizens of Harris County, to be insured in Texas. In addition, the Texas Department of Insurance, as many other states, have already begun implementing this bill, the Patient Protection Bill, gladly so, and saying it will help save lives and provide for the families of their states. Can you tell me what is more unconstitutional than taking away from the people of America their Fifth Amendment rights, their 14th Amendment rights, and the right to equal protection under the law?
That's interesting. She's implying that if the taxpayers don't fund somebody's health care insurance, that's a violation of their 15th and 14th Amendment rights.
There's no constitutional basis for an individual mandate in the bill, and when I think in the end, when the Supreme Court gets it, they're going to decide also that to force people to purchase something that they may or may not want is simply unconstitutional. When that happens, the whole thing, the House of Cards collapses, and we're going to have an opportunity at that point, I think, to really fix this system. Everybody understands that the cost of health care is going up too quickly, but without any competition with government takeover, with gimmicks to pay for it, it's simply just a plan that is not going to work. Jan, if you remember, back when this thing passed the Senate on Christmas Eve, there was no one that thought that the system could work the way it was passed. It was cobbled up so badly that everyone understood that this was just a horrible bill. And what they got into predicament was to, in the House then, after the Scott Brown election in Massachusetts, the House said, well, we have to pick it up as it is because they don't have the 60 votes again to take it back to the Senate if there's any changes. So what we have is a bill that everyone universally understood was just a disaster. That is now our law. And to think that this thing is going to be able to help people is just wrong. What we need to do is fix it, repeal it, replace it with some common sense things that will hold down health care costs.
What do you reasonably expect?
Well, the repeal is going to pass on a bipartisan basis today. The only partisan vote today is going to be to keep it. And then going forward, we're going to have to work very hard as far as holding the funding so that we don't allow them to enact all these onerous provisions that they have in the bill. And then I think you're going to have an election, a new president that the House of Representatives, the first day after he's sworn in on Inauguration Day, that afternoon we'll have a bill passed to repeal it and replace it with common sense.
Steve, you'd like a quick point with Congressman Tom Latham. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank Congressman Latham for backing the stands that he's backing on health care. I, too, was very surprised but very happy that Branstad has taken the position he has as far as our state's concerned. And I thought, isn't Brenda Findley his chief legal counsel now?
Yes.
I think she probably had a big part in this move, so I'm thankful for that. I just wanted to encourage Congressman Latham to stay bold on this, not compromise. Also wanted to visit with you, Tom, about the HSA component of what I feel would be a real positive move in reform of our healthcare system would be to encourage and support HSA legislation. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's part of the bill that I'm introducing today is going to expand the health savings accounts. That is one